G'day legends, I hope you're all fantastic. On today's video, we're on the Eventide H90 and I want to take a deeper look at the HEADSPACE algorithm on here. I want to cover all 10 new algorithms at the moment on the H90 in individual videos. So let me know which algo you would like me to look at next. And for now, we will dive into HEADSPACE, which is based on basically old tape machines with multiple playback heads. And before I talk about any of the parameters, I'll just give you a quick example of what this sounds like. I'll start with my bypassed clean tone. I'm just using this in the loop of my AXFX3 and I'm using the ODS clean model, neck and middle pickup on my Strat. I'll let you hear the dry tone and then I'll play around with this crusty tape preset that I came up with. That is so much fun. Now, it looks like there's a lot of parameters going on here, but the idea with this is essentially this delay time control over here. Think of this as like the actual physical length of an old tape machine. Well, I should say the length combined with the playback speed. That's going to give you your core delay time in there. And then each of these different virtual playback heads, there's 4 of them, has 3 specific parameters. There's a level for each head, a subdivision for each head, and a pan control for each head on there. So you can see there's 3, 6, 9, and 12 parameters total for those 4 heads. You've got boil and breakdown parameters. You heard the breakdown at the end. They emulate either like a tape machine speeding up and spinning out of control, or one basically powering down and braking for those kind of old school funky effects in there. Then we've got a playback speed control, record drive, so you can add some grit to your echo repeats, feedback. You can set the feedback path to each individual head or various combinations of them, which is really, really interesting and can create some amazing textures. You've got wow and flutter, which are tape style modulation controls. And you've even got tape hiss emulated in here. You know, if I just kind of turn this up and play something, well, there you go. I'm getting some hiss in there, which you may think, why do you want that? It's a little bit annoying. Again, real tape machines do this thing. It's emulated in there if you want it. Then there's a filter control in there to basically kind of like darken or brighten the repeats. So it's not too different to a regular delay once you take into account the fact that it's basically just got a bunch of modulation and filtering options in there, some drive, and then the really interesting thing are the feedback options in there. So we'll start out super simple, emulating basically just some clean tape. I've got the delay time at 1 second. Playback speed is at full speed, no drive, no feedback, no wow and flutter, no tape hiss, filter is in the middle. I've panned head number 1 straight down the middle and the subdivision is 1. So it's just going to give me a 1 second delay. Very, very nice. If I wanted to, I could turn the feedback up on that and get some more repeats. You can immediately hear some degradation in those repeats, which is nice. What I can do now is, let's go for a different subdivision. I can turn this to, what can I get? I think the minimum is probably a 16th note on there, but you know, you've got an 8th note, a dotted 8th note, and various offsets in here, which is kind of cool. So let's go for 1/6 on there with just like a 1% offset. That's kind of nice, especially if you use multiple delays where they don't have to be timed exactly the same. Again, recreating all the perceived inadequacies of a physical tape machine. Let's hear this. That's pretty cool. I've got a slapback echo on there. One fun thing you could do straight away is to say, take head number 1, pan it hard left, bring in head number 2, and set it for a very similar subdivision, but like with a different offset. So I've got like a 17% offset on there now. It's panned hard right. So these 2 delays aren't going to be identical, which is going to create this massive stereo spread. nice indeed. Let's add some recording drive to that now. And we can filter this now. We can either make it darker by turning the filter control up above 0. I kind of like the filter up above noon on there, but again, you've got the different options in there. To me, one kind of sounds like newer tape and one sounds like older tape on there. You can then add in some wow and flutter, and I'm going to use some longer delay times on here. Maybe let's go for a half subdivision on one and then like a half with a little offset. Well, let's actually just go for a different subdivision, 2/3 over there. They're panned hard left and hard right. I'm going to bring in some wow and flutter. And then for extra realism, bring in some tape hiss, turn it up to halfway. What's cool from there is you could play around with this tape speed control on here and like flip-flop it between half and full and get some kind of virtual pitch shifting effects. Attaching an expression pedal or control switch to that would be super awesome as well. So that's kind of the general idea with HEADSPACE. Take a basic echo. I've only used 2 playback heads at the moment. What I want to do next, I'm going to grab a different guitar and get some dirt happening on here and show you how to dial in a circular delay on here. All right, for all you rack delay junkies, this isn't going to be quite the same as a lexicon style circular delay because there's no diffusion in here, but I've managed to kind of hack the times together. If you set the core delay time as 1,168 milliseconds, you set the head 1 subdivision to be a quarter note, the head 2 subdivision to be a half, and head 3 to be 3/4, and then you've got them panned left, right, and center. Actually, like to bring the filter up on this just a little bit to make it a bit darker. I've got a little bit of drive, got the feedback up. I've set the feedback path for 3 on here. A little bit of modulation on there, no tape hiss. This is a pretty awesome sounding lead delay in its own right. Now, if you go into the general section over here, you can turn tempo mode on, and that way your core delay time you can set to say, I don't know, like a whole note in there. Then these subdivisions will actually be like what you see is what you get version of the tap tempo. So if you tap in the tempo, this is now a proper quarter note subdivision. This is now a proper half note subdivision. I like that flexibility in there is so easy to dial in. We heard the breakdown parameter. There's this boil parameter in here, which is pretty awesome as well. I'll just kind of plug it in on one of the foot switches over here. So breakdown was like the tape machine literally breaking down and slowing down, whereas boil, it's going to like just speed up to the point where it's going to explode or something like that. So I'll let you hear a little example of this. Oh, that is so much fun. One thing that I did mean to mention earlier is playing around with the feedback path. So I've got a dual delay here, quarter note on one side and a dotted eighth note on the other side. Changing the feedback path is going to change how they interact with one another. So I'll let you hear it with the feedback path on 1, 2, and then 1 and 2. And in fact, you can even have head 3 and head 4s level down, but set them as feedback paths and get some interesting sounds. So let's just go through those. So I kind of like having either head 1 or head 2 as the feedback path, but it was pretty interesting with head number 3 on there. You can set it to all as well, but I'll give you a very quick little example of playing through this. I'll turn the modulation up as well as the feedback on here. And then you can noodle around with either the delay time and get some self-oscillation style effects in there, or the speed. So this is ridiculously powerful on here. The old H9 tape algorithm, I think, still sounds really, really good, but this really goes beyond that. And if you're a fan of stuff, I don't know, like the Strymon Volante or some of the other multi-head echoes out there, the Roland Space Echo that they put out recently as well, I think this stacks up really well against them, and it probably gives you even more options. What I like about, say, the Volante is it's very hands-on and easy to dial these things in and just kind of experiment. The Space Echo doesn't really give you proper stereo separation, but it just kind of has this character that I think Boss have really nailed on there, which I know is why a lot of people like it. And it's in that cool kind of like CE1 style housing as well. But in terms of flexibility, I think this algorithm actually goes beyond it. And the modulation in there is really, really musical. The drive as well never gets like cartoonish or anything like that. Having boil and breakdown and the ability to attach modifiers to stuff as well. I think people are going to love this, whether they're kind of like me and they probably mostly use delays for like lead stuff and maybe the occasional ambient noodle, or if you're into like full-on frippatronics and you want to get in there and make some absolutely crazy sounds, I think you're going to like HEADSPACE in here. And unlike the H9, there's like no in-app purchases on the H90, which is pretty cool. So you buy one and you get this algorithm and you can play around with this. So I'll find a way to share these presets that I've made for this. I might put them up on my Discord, linked in the video description. Let me know if there's anything else you would like to hear about the H90. What algorithm should I do next and kind of deep dive into? And if you've got one, let me know what you're enjoying on here. It is time to make some stupid noises again. I hope you all have a great day and I'll see you next time.